Welcome to Bev's Bali Diaries, Season 1, Episode 1. It's only taken me 3 weeks to record some long form content, but here we are. The funny thing, I'm going to preface this episode by saying I'm not going to cut anything out. You can listen to this while you're doing your makeup, your hair, getting ready for the day, but I'm keeping everything in because I don't want this to be curated. I want this to be raw, unfiltered me. And it's as much an exercise for me as it is me offering advice or just tips about my life to you. So, yeah. Relationships. I am ashamed to admit that I have not been single for more than a couple of months since I was 18. And I have the habit of jumping from relationship to relationship. And even after like an almost 4-year, 3.5-year relationship, it wasn't even a full year before I got into another relationship with someone. And there was a lot to unpack after that. And looking back, there were many people where I felt like I didn't really truly love them, but I said I love you. And I think that has to do with me not knowing myself. And the funny thing is about breakups, I feel like you learn so much about yourself. And I do feel like you shouldn't avoid relationships, even if you feel like you're not ready or you feel like there are parts of you you're not sure of. I think those parts get brought to the surface in a relationship and you actually get tried and tested. And so it could be a great learning experience for you. I can definitely say after each relationship I was in that I know a lot more about what I don't want, what I want, who I am after each and every one of them. So one thing I would say is don't be afraid to jump into a relationship, but there is a fine line. So I want to add this caveat that I have been in the habit of just putting myself out there. Sorry, these people were staring at me while I was filming. So I lost my train of thought. But I was in the habit of jumping from relationship to relationship because I was craving safety. And I was looking for that safety in someone else. Because for a long time in my late teens, I couldn't offer that safety to myself. And so I thought having this like protector would help me. And my first relationship kind of proved that. I very much depended on my guy for everything. And he definitely did make me a better person. But when the time came, like we're 3 years into the relationship and things are starting to get serious, I'm like, do I actually see myself spending the rest of my life with this person? And my answer was no. So I had to be honest with myself and I had to be honest with him. And that can be a really scary thing to do. And the funny thing about letting someone go in those moments is when you can feel like you're this paper bag like floating through the wind, because that one person that was tying you down to your identity, who you are, your expectations of life is gone. So you don't have that anchor anymore. And so you're just like floating through life. And that's how I felt. So I had to do a lot of work to figure out what I wanted and who I was. And I kind of turned my nose up, I guess, at romantic people or romantic things and started to take a very, I suppose, clinical approach to dating. And I was like, well, if our values align and we get on, we have good friendship, like, what more do you want, you know? But that doesn't work either. And then I got into a toxic relationship. And I think because God was like, you know, you got to stop messing around here. I ignored so many red flags at the beginning because this person was absolutely love bombing me and this big knight in shining armor and loads of gifts and big apologies and big gestures constantly. So it was such a roller coaster. And it was really only until a couple of months in that I realized, like, wow, I lost who I was as a person. And in those kind of relationships, it's very subliminal at first. It's like, oh, that girl looks great. I'd love if you should do something like that. Or like, they don't outright insult you at first, but they kind of plant seeds of doubt, like who you are as a person is not good enough. And so you try to change a little bit to save the relationship, and that doesn't work. And it gets to a place, if you date someone that is a narcissist, that until you are so far gone from yourself and your self-worth is in the bin, like, their work with you will not be done. And I kind of figured after multiple late night breakups and get back together and everything, I was like, this is not me. This is not who I am. And so finally pulled the plug. It took months. It took a few months, and it was very treacherous stuff. But we got there in the end. The easiest way to get out of a narcissistic relationship would be tell people the worst parts about them. Not the best parts. Don't sugarcoat anything. Be brutally honest. And the second you tell your friends or family things that person does, there's no taking it back. They can't unsee that. And if they care about you, they'll do everything in their power to really make you see your worth and help you step out of that. So I was lucky. My family, a great support system for me. I absolutely love them to bits. It wasn't always that way. I went through a difficult phase and it definitely hurt them, but I'm really, really lucky to have a supportive family. And so that led me to my last relationship. And not even a quarter of a year later, I'd say, maybe more, I met this guy. And after an abusive relationship, it's very hard to trust somebody again because you don't trust yourself anymore. And I met this guy and I took my time. And I kind of told my therapist at the time, I was like, oh, gee, I don't know if this is the right time for me. And she was like, no, you must continue on. You must not let the past stop you and see where it goes. And I really took my time with this person. I love this metaphor, and it's like, you do not invite a guy into your house straight away. You check, does he know how to change a light bulb? Does he know how to work the dishwasher? Can he fix something if it breaks? How does he respond if the fire alarm goes off? And then you might give him the keys to your house. So I kind of took that same approach with dating. And I was like, okay, let's take my time. And I'd say I gave myself like a solid, like, 7 or 8 months before I truly let my guard down and trusted him and opened myself up to the opportunity, to love someone again. And unfortunately, the relationship didn't work out. That was maybe 4 weeks ago now, a month ago, I don't know, something like that. And my point is, you can have as much of an idea of who you think someone is, but you cannot know what they're going to do, and you cannot know how someone is going to react, or what's going to happen in life. All you can control is what you think, feel, say, or do. And I've no regrets looking back, but this caused me to have a whole new level of identity crisis. So let's talk about it. So I thought I found my guy, right? I was like, this is it. I can feel it in my bones. This is it. He's a great guy, I was wrong. Like I was wrong about so many things in life. But it begs the question, have I been dating people in the past because of I like the version of me that they bring out, because I've been afraid to ask myself, or to investigate myself, who I truly am. Because I think so many of us never really get to figure out who we are as a person, as an individual, because you're working towards something, you have exams, you have a family, you have kids that depend on you. There's so many things always pulling you in so many different directions. It's very rare we get an opportunity to go deep inwards and be in solitude and really think about who we are as people. And I do believe experiences, relationships, they all shape us to a certain extent. So I took this opportunity to go to Bali and to really think about who I am as a person, and I came up blank. I couldn't tell you. And it's so funny because I am living a life that I dreamed of when I was younger. And I'm so proud of the work that I've put in and who I've become. I know I'm a great partner, great family member, friend. I love my work. I love my clients. I'm generally a good person. If not, I've gotten over my people-pleasing tendencies, placed hard boundaries with people, and do not tolerate people that do not want the best for me in my life anymore. And I feel like I've grown a lot as a person, especially in the last year. But at the bottom of that list was fun. Or like just me. Like, when was the last time you wore like a pink pair of sunglasses because they're fun and different and you like them? Or are they just sitting in your cupboard waiting to be worn for that one day you remember to actually live life? And I feel like that's kind of where I was at. And I think there's so many studies done, and I was actually listening to Mel Robbins' podcast this morning about how to find moments of joy in your life. And it is essential for your health, and it's a study done on cancer patients, to have at least one moment of fun every day. One moment to laugh, one moment to just live life, be content, do something silly, embarrass yourself. And it had been a really long time since I did that. And by moving to Bali alone, I've been in many humiliating situations and humbling situations, and it has been really good for me just to embarrass myself and remind myself that, like, life is not that deep. It does not need to be that deep and heavy. I'm sure I will find my partner in time, but I'm no longer navigating my life around somebody else. I'm no longer identifying myself around who I'm with. I've genuinely, the universe and myself have removed so many people from my life. Friends, exes, thought I had soulmates, friends, removed so many. And I got to a place where I was like, who am I if not someone who identifies themselves by what they have, by who they surround themselves with, or who they date? And so what I have found out on this journey is a couple of things. Number one, stop living life in grayscale. I got into a habit of doom scrolling. Every day was the same. Working during my lunch, working through my dinner, just work, work, work. If somebody asked me to do something, no, I'm working, I'm busy. If someone asked me to go somewhere, no, I'm busy. And I understand it requires a certain amount of sacrifice. Though when you start a business and work, I totally get that, and I have been doing that, and it has served me well. I'm really happy with where I'm at. However, there is a balance. And I thought about it and I was like, I haven't had fun, like belly laughing fun, since March, when I saw my friends last, or last summer, when I went traveling with one of my best friends. So I really spent like months in isolation and work And obviously I had my family and I met people as well, like for coffees and different things, and I still saw friends, but I didn't actually go out and have fun or do anything. And that is not good. And I was really terrified about coming to Bali. I'm not going to lie, it petrified me. And it was actually my therapist that low-key forced me to come here. She was like, Bev, you've been talking about this for 2 years. If you do not go, I will force you. Well, she didn't put it like that. She just gave me a nudge and I took it. And she said, open yourself up to whatever comes your way. And I have opened myself up and I have noticed there's so many people around. I just sat on the beach there with a random guy, German. He came up to me. We were chatting for the last 2 hours about life. Don't know him. Will probably never see him again. But just had really deep, heartfelt conversation. It was so lovely. And that's my point. Number 2. 1, stop grayscaling. 2, open yourself up to good experiences, because you cannot, if you're closed off to fun, to embarrassing yourself, to being okay with not being good at something, then you're closing yourself off to a lot of life. And that's not great. I can tell you, things do not end up well. And lastly, number 3, I would say anxiety is actually your biggest tool. Anxiety is the momentum that pushes you forward in life. And I used to fear my anxiety massively, which led to panic attacks, which led to me feeling stagnant, binge eating, loads of things. And it was purely because I feared my anxiety. It would lead me to have massive existential moments. But once I stopped fearing it and embraced it and looked at it as a tool, because if you think of it this way, if you pull an elastic band back and you have that tension, the more tension there is, the more it propels forward. So anxiety is that tension you feel. It's the gap between where you want to be and where you are now. And recognizing it, acknowledging it, but using it to fuel you forward and moving in spite of the tension, because you know that tension is necessary. It's that momentum that's going to push you forward. That changes everything. And then you actually have freedom, because you're not operating from a place of fear. You're operating from a place of, you get comfortable with the discomfort. And I know it's cliche, it's so annoying. Everyone's like, discomfort. It's true. Everyone that I look up to, that I watch, that I believe is successful and lives a value-aligned life that I admire, they all say the same thing. And I have lived it, and I continue to live it because I believe it. And so that's my takeaway for today. Find some time for you to squeeze a little joy, fun into your life. So let's do some action steps. We have the theory, we have all that done. Let's do some action steps. So for me, one fun thing that I did, I said I was going to challenge myself at least once a week. So one of my challenges included renting a scooter here. Now, if you know Bali, you know the roads are diabolical, okay? They are not for the weak. People drive on both sides of the road. They go against traffic, with traffic, on footpaths, in gutters, off-road, on-road. There's no real rules of the road. I stick to the yellow line on the left side and I stay there. I don't diverge. I don't overtake. I just stay in my lane, and it seems to be serving me well, touch wood, so far. But when I started, I could not for the life of me drive a scooter. So how was I supposed to even drive on these roads? So, yes, I drove off with the scooter. I panicked. I stopped in the middle of this road. This old man, literally old Indonesian man, he was so nice. He pulled over and he was like, "Are you okay?" And I was shaking, dripping in sweat. The anxiety was through the roof, and I was like, "No, I'm not okay." And he was like, "Let me help you." And I was like, "Can you please just park it for me off the road? I can't do it." And he was like, "Yeah, absolutely." Gets off his bike, hands it to me, parks my scooter for me. And I stay in this cafe for an hour or two watching YouTube videos on how to drive a scooter. I know. But I persisted and I survived. So I then drove myself to a car park after hyping myself up for an hour or two. And I just practiced starting, stopping, starting, stopping. And that was the best thing, because through the repetition, through the practice, it became more familiar to me. And so I wasn't in the unknown anymore. I actually was just learning how to drive it and feeling comfortable. And now it's been almost 2 weeks and it's not a bother. I actually love hopping on my scooter and going for a drive. Sometimes in the evening time, if it's late, I just go for a drive along the coast just for the fun of it. Because I've always loved driving and just listening to my thoughts while I'm on the road. I used to take my dad's Jeep and drive for an hour or two, and he'd be like, "Where'd you go?" And I'd be like, "Just doing laps." In my head, listening to music in my thoughts. So do something outside of your comfort zone that you believe is so unlike you, and see how that serves you. Because I promise you, by doing things that make you question the box that you've placed yourself in, because the mind loves stability and comfort. So it loves to label things, including ourselves. So it will say, "Oh, I'm someone who's always 5 minutes late. That's just who I am." Or, "I'm someone who's always 15 minutes early. That's just who I am." Or, "I don't like fish food because I've never liked fish food." Try something different to your usual routine. Show up 5 minutes late for once and take those extra 15 minutes to go for a walk, read a book, get a coffee, and indulge in it. Do something out of your character box, out of your routine, and watch how your identity shifts. And I promise you then, whatever your goals might be, whatever the next chapter is for you in life, it will become much easier just to take that step. So one thing I would say is, absolutely, it's all well and good having the theory and knowing what to do. But the biggest thing is taking action, because so many people ruminate as a means of procrastination, and they just think about their thoughts. They think about, "I need more information, I need another degree, I need more things." It's like, no, you actually just need to take action. Thanks. And you just need to take the step, because it's like swimming. If you did your swimming lessons and you hopped in the water, it's like, takes a couple of weeks and eventually you learn. But if someone threw you into the sea or into a pool, you would be paddling like your life depends on it, because it does. And that's when you truly learn more. Now, I'm not saying jump in a pool if you can't swim, but I'm saying that anxiety, that tension, that momentum is what's going to propel you forward much quicker than learning more, educating yourself more. So I'll leave it with you. I hope you enjoyed my little mental ruminations. I really, really enjoyed this episode. I really enjoyed talking to you guys. And I'm really happy that I started doing this. So I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, subscribe, please. I will do more of these. And I hope you have an amazing day and go have some fun. You deserve it.